Good afternoon, Mrs. Lockenford, and thank you for taking the time to talk with us. This is Seth, reporter on the streets for the Grizzly Gazette, and we have two very important questions. First, how would you define inquiry-based instruction?
Hello, Seth, and thank you for coming to visit me. In kindergarten, inquiry means asking a lot of questions and wondering why. And there's a lot of different ways that we can come up with answers. And so a lot of the students' questions challenge me as a teacher to find different ways to help them solve a solution. And most of the ways we can use different kinds of manipulatives, and it's just more exciting and a more interesting way to learn.
Second, why does this approach work for kids?
Mostly because the questions come from the own student minds, and so when they want to learn something new, they wonder why they came up with the same answer but in different ways. And so a lot of the questions that the kindergartners have are a lot of the same questions that you guys have too as older students, and you solve it in different ways. And so it's interesting for the kids because a lot of things we use manipulatives, and the students' own questions make it more interesting for them to solve and find answers for.
Thank you for your time.
Okay. So this is all of it.
So you take one?
No, I four first.
So she plants four to the forest. And then the lumberjack takes one. So I write it down. Since they have 120 trees, they add 4 to make it 124, minus 1, 123. And the lumberjack keeps adding, doubling the number. So then he does 2, then he does 4, then he does 8. And then he keeps doubling until they have no more trees to plant. So then the whole thing is over. And there's not that much natural resources in that area.
Hi, Mr. Joe. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Why do you think the IB approach to teaching works?
Because it's more hands-on, and when you work with something with your hands, you get a better idea how it works than just reading it in a book.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mrs. Smith, and thank you for taking your time to talk with us. This is Delilah, reporter on the streets for the Grizzly Gazette, and we have two very important questions. First, how would you define inquiry-based instruction?
I think inquiry-based instruction is something that comes from the student. It's not generated by the teacher. The teacher might support it and might give a topic, but then the students decide where they're going to go with that information. And one thing that I always love is I introduce the redwoods to the children.
Oh, I remember that.
You remember that, don't you? And then the kids go home and they decide what they like about the redwoods. They initiate the computer search and come back, and they want to talk about it with their friends, and they get in little groups and they all share their information. But do you remember what we did on the field?
Mm-hmm. We would stand and you would measure with the pink tape, and someone else would stand, and then we would keep on going and going until the tape ended, and then we would run until the tape ended.
Yes.
And you
so
would say
we
that's
measured
how
the
long the redwood
length
was?
of the redwood, and then you had to run it, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Was that fun?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay.
Volleyball stand. Good afternoon, Miss Petit, and thank you for taking the time to talk with us. This is Delilah, reporter on the streets for the Grizzly Gazette, and we have two very important questions. First, how would you define inquiry-based instruction?
We define inquiry-based instruction when students take what they already know and are given new information, and they use what they already know and apply it to that new information. That's what I would say inquiry-based instruction is.
Second, why does this approach work for kids?
I think inquiry-based instruction works for kids because kids are discovering and doing their own learning instead of me giving the learning to you guys. You go and make those discoveries all on your own.
Thank you again for your time.
All right, thank you.
104.
105.
107.
108.
Bring it out.
109. That's a pretty.
How many are in there?
110. 111.
On the edges.
12. Wait,
The edges fold it
13.
114, 115, 116.
Can we use the pennies, Ashley?
We're out. We 118. We got 118. We're still going. We're still going. 118. You should
Good afternoon, Mr. Paul and Mr. Martinez, and thank you for taking the time to talk with us. This is Seth, reporter on the streets for the Grizzly Gazette, and we have two very important questions. First, how would you define inquiry-based instruction?
Inquiry-based instruction is a type of instruction where students are involved, teachers are facilitators, unlike the old school model where the teachers were just giving students assignments and information, and that didn't work. So students are more involved in inquiry-based instruction.
Second, why does this approach work for kids?
Well, Seth, I think it works really good for like students like Delilah, who's sitting over here next to Mr. Mead. So instead of her just waiting to find out information from me, now we're really making it where Delilah and Seth are the ones who are doing a lot of the research and finding out a lot of the answers to their own questions and things that are interesting to you guys. You guys are starting to become more IB type learners where you want to find the information for yourselves. And just like Mrs. Granger said in the novel Frindle, it'll mean so much more to you if you find out the answer yourself, Seth and Delilah.
So really, why are Oh, you're welcome, Seth.
Okay, cool cats. So our investigation today about systems is going to include, what do you have in your hand? A t-shirt. That's right. And what are you wearing on your body?
A t-shirt.
That's right. So I'm going to buddy you up with a partner, and your partner is going to help you very carefully. Each of your t-shirts at the back has a little tag, and the partner's job is to help you pay attention to what's on the tag. Lots of clothes that we buy, and remember, clothing is a product or a good that travels around the world in a system. That's right. It didn't just land in your closet, did it? No, it had to get there somehow, didn't it? Yeah. So, all over the world, there are people who work in factories that make clothing. So we're going to do an investigation today to try to discover where our clothing came from. So I'm going to buddy you up super fast. Buddy A and Buddy B, you're going to make a team. The A person is going to look at the tag on the back of the shirt on the inside back and see if you can read the name of the country. I'll come help you. And then the Buddy B is going to have a turn. So on the front of your t-shirt, you need to write the name of the country your t-shirt came from. Yes?
Yes.
Say ready.
Ready.
Ready, ready, ready.
Ready, ready, ready.
Set, set, set.
Set, set, set.
Okay, off you go, buddy. A, B, go. Stand over there by Christopher.
Go ahead and explain to us what that map is.
So, this is North America, and there's 8 t-shirts on. 8 people that put t-shirts on it. And here is Asia, and 18 people put t-shirts on it. We made t-shirts and then we put them on this, and we looked at them. We had a partner, and the partner looked at our shirts, and then we put them on the board, and whatever country it came in, like China or El Salvador, it would go on that country on the map.
We got the information from this map. So each box is 2. So in North America, there is 8 people that had shirts in North America. So we put it in these box, and then in Asia, there's 16 people that had shirts in Asia.
Good afternoon, Ms. Stahl, and thank you for taking the time to talk with us. This is Delilah, reporter on the streets for the Grizzly Gazette, and we have two very important questions. First, how would you define inquiry-based instruction?
So inquiry instruction is where students are doing the investigating, exploring, and answering questions.
Second, why does this approach work for the kids?
I think inquiry is great for the kids because students are doing the learning, they're doing the investigating, they're answering the questions, and it's hands-on and minds-on.
Thank you again.